Today, I actually contacted somebody on Craigslist about an arcade game. I was, they were selling a Nintendo Red Tent. If you don't know what that is, it's one of the Nintendo Versus systems. It's like the cocktail table ones that you sit down, but they call it the Red Tent because the top of it angles up like this. There's a monitor on this side and a monitor on this side. There's two controllers or two joysticks on this side. So some games can, like I think tennis is one of the few games that can be played 4 players. And this was in I think the 80s. I don't think it was in the 70s that was out. But in the 80s, 4 people could play a game at the same time. Holy cow, that was awesome. But he was asking a lot of money for it. It's like $2,000. And he had other stuff with it. So it's like he had 2 extra monitors that didn't really work, but they could probably been fixed, but the amount of time I had to put into them. Then he had like another board for the Versus system that didn't work. And then then the monitors in the Versus system, one didn't have sound and one needed a new flyback. And I'm sitting here thinking, that's an awful lot of not working to be asking $2,000 for. But I sent him a message, and after I think what it was is I don't really think he wanted to sell it, because even at $1,000, that would be really too high. I think. Don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe somewhere out there is somebody that would pay that. I gave him an offer. I told him $500, which some people are like, wait, from $2,000 you gave him $500? Just because somebody puts something up for a price doesn't mean that you have to give anywhere near that close to that price. I can't remember, some movie star, it might be on some forum, I read it. Let's see, what was, rarity does not equal value, and value does not equal rarity. So, like, what was the game? Contra on the NES. Prime example. Contra is one of the best-selling games on the NES, but it's also like a $30 to $40 game. Sometimes, I mean, I think you can see it go for as high as $50, but it's not rare. I mean, if you are an NES collector, you probably have it. It's one of the more common games. It's like the game Super Mario World, the packing game. It's worth more than most NES games, because if you buy an NES, you want Super Mario World. Legend of Zelda, same way. It's one of the best-selling NES games, and it's also $20, $30. So, but then there's other games that are like on the NES that there's not many of, and it's like $5, $10 because nobody wants it. That's the way a lot of games are that way. I mean, it's like this card game here. I think it's a card game, or tile laying game, or whatever. Is it still got tape on it? No. Like this right here, the crazy cards. I don't think there's many of these made. I mean, it's very cheaply made. Doesn't mean it's worth anything. Atlas Games, though, they originally they did do limited runs of these. They didn't produce like a lot of them, and generally once they were done producing them, that was it. So Atlas Games do generally, but they are generally worth more too. But that's kind of goes against what I was saying. But anyways, yeah, but he actually, after us chatted for a little while, he actually was like, "Your name looks familiar. Did you work at this company?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did work there a few years ago." And he was, and he had started after I had quit and everything. He said he had seen my name in their wiki, and I was like, "That's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize that." But yeah, I've actually I think he was just doing it because I don't think he really wanted to sell the game. But I've actually experienced this a lot on Craigslist. I'll talk to people, and it's like you have a Pac-Man game, like Pac-Man, Mrs. Pac-Man, and it will be beat to hell. I mean, it looks like it was underwater. I mean, hardly any side art exists on it. The monitor has a burn-in on it. They show a picture of the inside and it's dusty. It looks like, looks like it's never been cleaned. And it's like this person is selling this for $1,200. I mean, no. And somebody actually said, I went to an arcade shop and asked him about the value, and he goes, yeah, once it's restored, you can sell it for $1,200. And he goes, I'm not going to give the thing away. And I told him, I said, yes, after you put about $1,400 of parts and time into this machine, it will be worth $1,200. And he says, don't you? He sent me a reply back. He said, aren't your numbers a little off? I said, no, you will put more money into this than you will ever get out of it, unless you do it professionally and you know how to do it and you can do it quickly. If you're doing this as a hobby, you're going to put a lot more into it. And so if you're selling it for $1,200 to begin with, no. There's a guy, probably a few posts down, that has a restored one for $1,500 because that's how much money he probably spent restoring it. But yeah, the guy, he was actually, the monitor was flaky. Like in the Pac-Man game I put an offer in on, the monitor was flaky. I mean, it didn't work all the time. You turn it on and it would turn off, and the monitor would go out, but it would still play blind. The one side of the artwork was completely faded. The other side had water damage, so it was swelled and it was cracked. The front bezel was, the door was dented, and one of the coin return mechs was the plastic thing you push in. I think I just saw a spider crawl down my wall. I just saw something black go. I was like, oh, it's a spider. But anyways, yeah, and I was just like, that stinks. Not the spider, but the price the guy was asking is $1,200 for this machine that isn't worth $100. I mean, the board may have problems. The monitor probably had problems. The cabinet looked like crap. So yeah, and I sent him an offer. I said, this is how much I can pay you, and it was pretty low. It was like $150 for. And he was asking $1,200, and he fired back at me, calling me a few names, and I told him about. I was like, nah, this is why. And that's when he said that he went and had it. He had it appraised, and I was like, no, you didn't have it appraised. They told you what it would be worth after you restore it. That's not an appraisal. And yeah, he didn't like that. So yeah, I'm running into that quite a bit. And the worst, holy cow, the worst on Craigslist is when you send somebody an offer. Like they say, hey, I've selling this on Craigslist, and they're selling it really cheap. It's like, wow, I'll pay what they're asking. You send them a message, and they'll actually say, well, I have a few offers on it already. Would you want to pay blah, which is like $200 or $300 more? And I'll be like, no, go ahead, give it to somebody, the other person. And most of the time, when somebody does that, a day or two later, it's like, oh, well, somebody, can you give it to me? They'll sell it to you for maybe $200 more than I was asking. I was like, no, I gave you an offer. You refused. You told me you had other offers. Go ahead and take one of the other offers. And what they're doing is they're trying to hook somebody because they're putting it up for like $300. Like, oh, I have other offers, so if you want it, you can pay $700. No, I'll pay the $300 you were originally asking for it. That's it. So yeah, that person pretty much realized very quickly that I wasn't going to pay more than what they were asking, so they just quit. Because I think they come back to me twice, like, and lowered the price twice. Like, oh, there was $700, then no, it was $600, and then I think he went down to $500, and I was like, no, I was like, last one I flat out told, I was like, you said you had other offers. I've purchased something else. I didn't. But yeah, it's just, Craigslist is one of those rabbit hole. I don't know what you would call it. Just crap holes sometimes, and people trying to scam people. And but anyways, talk about work a little bit. We have this in one of the labs. We have these 6 monitors set up that displays data about the building and everything. And some of them went out. Like 2 of the monitors went out because I think they're from like 2012, and they run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they were turned off. So I went over there. I was like, okay, they had a brownout. So maybe the computer just turned off. We'll go in there. Computer's off. Hit the power button. Go back out. That's when I noticed the second monitor was out. I was like, crap, this sucks. Then as I'm looking at maybe the wrong input or something, so I'm trying to see how to change the input and everything. At like 2 minutes, that computer turns back off. And I'm like, huh, what's going on with this? So I had to end up going back to my office, getting a screwdriver, coming because it's mounted in a server rack. So I had to pull the thing out, untake all these screws out of the top of it, pull it off, turn it back on. One of the video cards isn't, the fan on it's not spinning. So it's completely seized up. I was like, crap, that's why it's dying. And then I'm like, what's that noise? Is that fan? I'm like, no. Oh, cool, the power supply is making this funny noise. All right. Turn the computer back off. I'm like, all right, we're leaving this thing off. So I need to order a new power supply for it, new video card, and I'm contacting the company that made those monitors to try to get some replacements. So yeah, it has fun times today. Let's see. Oh gosh, I'm trying to. There's something that happened today, and I can't remember what it was. One thing. Oh, I started to pull my cell phone out and record it, but I was like, no. Somebody had an accident, so I don't want to record any of that. But everything was cleaned up. On the side of the road, there was a cop car with his lights on, and in front of it, there was the car that had been in the accident. So it was like the front of it was messed up, but there was a traffic jam. I mean, it took me probably 20 minutes to travel a mile. I'm sitting there like, what in the world's going on? So we get up there. I see the cop. I could see the cop car's lights in the distance, and everybody's just slowly moving. I'm thinking, okay, there must be an accident. People are that's down to 1 lane. It's a 3-lane interstate here, so it's merging down to 1 lane and going around. Get closer. Nobody's merging anywhere. Okay, what's going on? Keep going forward. Everybody is just stopped looking at the car that's been in the accident. It's on the shoulder. The cop car has his lights on behind it so somebody doesn't plow into the back of it again. And everybody is just slowing down. I mean, like, people had to be stopped looking at this thing. The accident was cleaned up. The cop was just waiting for the tow truck to come back, or another tow truck to get there and take that car off. I'm like, really? People, nobody's hurt. The accident's cleaned up. It's an empty car that a cop is sitting behind. And everybody was just going, and I'm like, please go on. I need to get to work. I don't understand that. But anyways, today's the complaining day, I guess. But I will talk about something. Well, actually, if I talk about this, it's something I'm going to complain about again. But anyways, I think I actually mentioned this before, the Ghostbusters 10 that has the really cool artwork on it. Ghostbusters 2 has a really cool artwork one too also. And tomorrow I'm going to try to get that. But I bought, when we got Ghostbusters 1, it had the code you put in, get it through Voodoo and everything. And the code gave me Ghostbusters 2. I'm like, no, I want Ghostbusters 1, not Ghostbusters 2. But, so I went to call, I think Sony is the one that got it through, to call them and be like, hey, I'm having an issue with this code. Can you give me transfer it over to regular Ghostbusters, or give me the Ghostbusters code or whatever? We'll see what they do. I need to call them before the thing expires or whatever. But hopefully that'll be easy. I think, from what I understand, what I've been reading online, this is a known issue with Sony. So, I don't know. But anyways, today I guess is the complaining day. Actually, I had a pretty good day running around doing things and trying to solve issues and getting my feet dirty, or get my feet wet, or whatever you want to say. It's kind of funny because I was talking to my boss, and he was like, "Yeah, you can. I'll show you how to use the tape backup system and everything." And we're having some issues with it. And basically, it started with DP, or the Microsoft Data Protection Manager. And he's like, "Yeah, get your feet wet before we plunge in." It's like, "Oh, so you're leading me up to a swimming pool." I say, "Hey, fill the water," and then you're getting behind me and kicking me in the butt, dump me in the deep end. And he laughed. I was like, "Yeah, pretty much," because like the tape drive's not working. We're having issues with the iSCSI to SAS bridge. I think I've got a support ticket in with Dell. I think it's just they're going to come out and be like, "Yeah, either it's not configured proper, or it's for some reason, I think it's just burned up. I don't know." But anyways, I am going to get off here. It is late. I waited way too late to start this, and I've been talking for 16, 17 minutes. Way too long. I'm trying to get better at not being so long-winded, but that's just not me. I am very long-winded, and I talk a lot. But anyways, hope you guys had a good day. Even though I complained quite a bit, it was pretty good, I think. Mine today was. But talk to you tomorrow.